Hello, everybody. Welcome to Nintendo Expansion Pass here on Boss Push Network. I'm your host, the 1978 ADV. Joining me is the Boss Push himself, the one, the only, Mr. Corey Derrick. My mouth got
Did you forget
like
your
stuck.
name? Did you forget who you
No,
were?
I had to say it was, and then my tongue got caught. It's like,
Are you all right,
uh,
Ed? Do you need a break?
no, I have my month to do.
Okay.
So I'm good.
So,
Hello.
hello. How's it going?
It is going weird, I should say. So the news broke out today that Skyward Anniversary is available for Switch. I'm like, wait, what?
Oh, I thought you were gonna. I thought we were gonna talk about Stadia, which I think we might actually talk about Stadia. But
We will talk about Stadia. Trust me, I'm saving that for the last portion of the show because I I can't believe that Google is closing it up this late. And I know I posted a question in our chat to see if Nintendo brought the technology, what do you think will come out of it? So but we'll kind of discuss that a little bit later.
I mean, if
Yeah,
anybody needs it, it's Nintendo because that technology is really the technology is fascinating. It's just it. We'll get into it later, but my thought on cloud gaming is it needs to be a companion, not the primary. You know?
hmm which is weird because all of these many handheld games now are coming out being cloud systems
Yeah. And guess
and
what?
everything.
Nobody's gonna buy them. So
Well,
look, I
uh,
can if I can buy like an $80 controller for my phone, I'm not gonna buy one of these $250 systems to do the same thing. You know? It's not.
right. So, but yeah, but the Skyrim collection anniversary is out on Switch. Um, I don't know if it ever actually got announced or anything.
No, I think it was
Uh,
just a stealth release because it's already available everywhere, and now they're just like, "Well,
yeah,
sure, Switch."
yeah.
Which,
So
by the way, is
69,
$70.
and then they're charging you 19.99 for the upgrade if you already got the game.
Well,
I'm
that's
like,
fine. I think that's fine. $20 for the upgrade, I think, is actually
but
really nice. But
but
like
that's
the game,
that's like $80.
the base game is still $60 on Switch, and the anniversary is 70 when it's like 5 cents everywhere else.
Exactly. Or get it free on Game Pass
It's
on
it's that
Xbox.
It's that Switch tax, man. I gotta tell you, look, as much as I love Nintendo, man, everybody else seems to think they can just like,
I really don't even think it's the Switch tax. I think this is Bethesda and Microsoft wanting to charge what they want to charge because it's a new release on
look,
another
man,
platform.
look, I get it. It's a business, and everybody just charges kind of whatever they want and however they want and wherever they want. But man, dude, like the third party charging on Switch is out of control. It's just, I don't know.
Like,
I have a lot of issues with how much third party games are on Switch sometimes. Like Wolfenstein 2 is still $60 when it's a digital only game. It's not even like they're producing cartridges for the thing.
mhm.
Doom Eternal, I mean, granted, on a sale it was $17 with all the DLC, which is great. Like but that's what it should be all the time now. It's two and
Right,
a half years old.
right. But I think we had this discussion about just third party in general because everybody's getting on Nintendo. Oh, they don't never drop their prices, and I'm like, but you're still paying $60 for Call of Duty games a year and a half out,
Well, I mean, that's a
or
problem too, though. Like that's an issue also where uh these games are just like, dude, you're like 2 3 years old. Let's take a step back for a minute.
right, and it's just like I think the pricing just of games. I think when it's a new release, I can understand that if they're charging it, but we know that someone else is doing the port work of it, and we see what goes into it. Yes, go ahead and charge the 59.99 because you guys did take this property. and you had to do a lot of work to get it to be released on this game. I mean, released on the system. But when it's something that feels like it's just like way old, that nothing has changed, it's just now on the system. You kind of be like, okay, if you're gonna charge anything, at least $20 or $25, because this game is this old
Hmm.
and it's available on other platforms that's cheap. Like there should be no reason like you said, Skyrim is $60, and then you look on Xbox or PlayStation, it's like 14.99 or something.
Hmm. Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous at this point. But what are you gonna do? This hobby is getting more popular by the day, and these games are getting harder to find physically. And if
Hmm.
you can't find them physically, where are you gonna go? Digital, So
Right.
they're playing the game, you know. The
Everybody.
pardon the
er-
pun.
I think people are just waiting to see will Nintendo jump to the $70 price point when they get to their next gen console.
I mean, I don't know. I think Nintendo's always been the cheaper option. Even
Mhm.
like when Wii U came out, it was $60, right? And then all the games jumped to 70. So I don't know. I don't. I don't think so. I think Nintendo's probably going to stay at $60. I bet they like even start exploring the price range stuff based on. I mean, they already are, right, with Kirby and some of
Mhm.
these other games. So I suppose
Yeah.
we will see.
Yeah. It's just that I seen that and I was just like, wait, this when was this game even announced or anything? Um, for it.
Hmm.
Uh, I guess people may buy it. I think I'm probably gonna wait to see the reviews for it because I want to see what people say about it. I'm still not buying it. I already have the PlayStation 3 version, which, as much as I tried that game, I just can't get into Skyrim. I'm sorry.
I mean,
It's
everybody knows my story by now if you've been listening to us long enough. So I played through like the first however many, like the first 2 hours or whatever, and I was like, I'm done. Done.
yeah. Um, Cuphead though is getting a physical release to
Yeah.
celebrate its fifth anniversary. Can't
Well,
believe
that
this
was
game been out for
announced.
5
That
years.
physical release was announced when it came to Switch. They just said they were going to wait for it until the DLC was out and make sure it was patched correctly because they
Hmm.
want it all on the cartridge. That was announced, what, in 2019? Is that when it came to Switch? 2019?
Yeah,
So, yeah. I mean, that. I'm not surprised. I just am shocked that it took so long, but.
yeah. It seems that Iron 8-bit is doing the physical version with
Hmm,
Studio MDHR,
that's interesting.
which is yeah, it is interesting. Do you remember when they people were waiting for this game to come to see if it was going to come to Switch, and then it did, and just the way that it was revealed, people were happy. And then when PlayStation got announced that they were getting one, it got revealed like no one cared in a
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. I mean, it's I just feel like nobody I just feel like the allure of Cuphead, like it was everybody was excited because it was so different from everything else that we had seen.
Hmm.
And then by the time it came to Switch and other platforms, it like either everybody had already played it or people were just kind of disinterested because it was hard and just I just feel like that game lost its luster. And then like by the time the DLC came out, I just feel like nobody cared, you know? Well, not to say that the DLC is bad or the game is bad by any stretch. It's just like, man, if you're a single player game, you can't be putting out DLC 4 years later, 5 years later. I mean,
Right.
that DLC should have been ready 6 months after that game came out. Which I get what they were doing and like very charming what they're doing, like the hand drawn stuff and the hand painted backgrounds and everything. Right, like that's very. I love that idea, but 5 years for a single player game to get DLC is not. It's not happening.
but I think it's because of all the delays for that game to even come out, just the original game.
Well,
Because like,
that's because it was just a boss rush game, and then they added the levels after people complained that it was only a boss rush game. Like it was
which
only
is
boss
weird,
fights.
because that's most of the Souls games. Or um, I guess people weren't used to that kind of like boss rush mode in games, or
It's
being
because
a
it's not
boss rush.
fun. That like I mean to me like that's just not fun. That just spells like not fun, you know.
But I don't. I think it's nothing new. But I just assume that people are recognizing it, that kind of genre of games or design of games, because there was a boss rush game that Treasure did for the Sega Genesis. Um, and so, but that's way back in the past. This is a new era of gaming, and everything. And actually tell you the truth, there's still not like a lot of run and gun levels in that game. It's still pretty much a boss rush design game
Yeah.
and everything.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, it's a strange one, we'll say, I guess. But I don't know. I just feel like that whole situation is just I don't know. I don't like the way they handled it, but it seemed to be fine for them. So who am I to say, right?
Hmm.
Who am I?
I mean, because I really want to know how many games they will have under their belt in the next. I would say it's probably in total 20 years. They already got Cuphead, and it's already been 5 years, so 15 more years they got. Do
Hmm.
you think they're gonna make another game that
Oh yeah, I'm sure they will
will
make
probably
another
be?
game. I bet they don't do it the same way, but I bet they make another game, and maybe they do. Maybe they. The thing is, though, is like the Cuphead show is computer animated, and like you can
Mhm.
hardly tell. I mean, as somebody who's into that stuff, I can tell, but like I think the general public probably couldn't tell, you know. And I don't know, man. I I didn't really care for Cuphead. I appreciate what they did. I think that game is aesthetically pleasing as somebody, especially as somebody who's really into like classic Disney cartoons and stuff. But
Mhm.
I don't know. I just I feel bad that that game took so long to come out, and then the DLC took too long to come out too.
Yeah, because about as much as the game got delayed, the DLC got delayed.
Yeah,
So I don't know if it was a marketing strategy or like a timing kind of strategy. Like, we do want to get this out, but we got the Cuphead show coming out, so let's time it around when that comes out and
yeah, but they
everything.
already released the second season, and the DLCs still didn't come out. So I don't
Well,
know. I don't know.
yeah, because it came out for all three platforms. The DLC, I believe.
Yeah, it did. It's been out. And it's only $8 too, which is like extremely cheap. That DLC, I feel like with the amount of work they did, probably should have been like 15. But
Yeah,
that's my
but
opinion.
I mean, this stayed on the Switch eShop like for number one for a good time. So,
Yeah.
which reminds me, I wonder why Hades never got DLC, and that was Game of the Year. Like,
Another game that I did not care for.
well,
Again,
yeah,
my taste in games, but uh not saying Hades was bad, everybody. I'm just saying like my taste in games. It's like, the new Shovel Knight, right? Is like I love Shovel Knight, but man, that kind of that kind of game just does not do anything for me. And I wish it did. Like I really do because I love Shovel Knight, but
mhm.
it just man, I really wanted that game to be like another Shovel Knight and it's just not. Which I knew going in, but it's all right. I gave it the old college try, I like to support studios that I think do good jobs, but also like I don't know.
Well, I think I kind of want to ask you, Corey, what is your range of games that you like, and then what is your range of games that you dislike?
I mean, I don't know. I feel like we've had that discussion a lot. Like I don't like roguelikes or procedurally generated things or randomly generated things. I like a good I don't know. I mean, I'm not opposed to games like that. That's just not what I like to play. I play a lot of different things. It's not like I play just one thing, although some people would argue that I only play Destiny, but whatever. Um so I don't know.
Well, first person shooters, I
Yeah.
would say, but not a lot.
Hmm. Look,
Uh,
I want to say there are more interesting topics going on right now than talking about what kind of games I like to play. I want to talk about Stadia. I want to talk about this other stuff. Like I don't there's just more interesting things going on than that. I want to talk about some Stadia really bad actually.
well, well, first before we get into the studio talk, we have some Patreon shout outs to give out.
No, we don't. Yeah, we do. All right. So, if you want to support this show and others, you can head on over to Patreon, patreon.com/Boss Rush Network, where you can get early access to 5 separate shows. You can do that for just $1 a month. But if you want to become a Patreon producer, you can subscribe to our $5 tier. What does that mean? It means you get early access to our Patreon as well as a shout out during this segment. Sorry, there's the settings lit up on our Patreon, and I'm trying to figure out what's going on. So,
Hmm.
anyways, our Patreon producers for this episode of Nintendo Power Block Expansion Pass are Adriel Munger, Celeste Roberts, my wife, Sana Dierig, Francisco Santillan, Rebecca Jewell, and Prince Unsmooth Toes. I want to thank everybody for watching and or listening. Remember, all of our content remains free. You just get a few perks for subscribing to our Patreon. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please leave us a 5-star rating and review. Really helps us out. And also check out Nintendo Power Block, which is the main show.
Okay.
Anyways, Edward, trying to make me talk about myself. What a jerk.
What? I just asked you what kind of games do you like? What genres?
I also feel like you're playing games while you're talking to me.
I am not playing games. I cannot do that while I'm on my Xbox talking to you.
That's not true. You can play Switch.
I can't play Switch.
I see it in your eyes.
How?
I don't know.
Wow. What game am I playing if you see it in my eyes?
I don't know. Something stupid. I don't know. Farming simulation.
Farming simulation.
I don't know. I just work here, okay?
Oh wow. Well, so
I'm also
everybody.
trying to post content that's going up tomorrow, so.
Oh wow. So everybody on September 29th, Google announced that they are canceling their cloud-based system service Stadia. Um, and they have details on what you could do after it. They are refunding everybody who had brought it. Um,
That's so
uh,
crazy. Refunding everybody like they're refunding all hardware and game sales. How crazy is that?
I mean,
That's insane.
Google's
Over 4 years, you know how many games that is? I mean, I know not that many people like were in the Stadia ecosystem that much, but like that's still a lot of money that Google has to
yeah,
pay back.
yeah, it is. I think it's because of they won't have access to those games. So people who put that money towards having those games on Stadia, um, it's just not like, well, you gave it to us. There you go. That's it. They probably were just like, yeah, you did agree to our terms and all of this stuff, and refund wasn't guaranteed to give it back to you. But I think it's because of them heirs and receiving enough money. There's no benefit for us having this. So I guess that's probably the reason why they decided to give, everybody back their money uh, who invested in it. And people probably gonna take that money and go play other games and stuff, or get those same games and play it on a different uh, cloud system or just a different console, or even Nintendo themselves, probably even on Switch themselves. Definitely with the Steam Deck being somewhat big now, people probably would take those funds and buy those games on the Steam Deck, maybe cheaper.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about Stadia is like they just like the my whole thing is that like Stadia should have been a complement to something and
Hmm.
not I think if Stadia would have been more forward thinking, they could have been a Steam competitor with a streaming aspect to it, which I think would have been a lot better. Also, like they they just have a lot of people from what I've heard behind the scenes or whatever is like they just didn't have a lot of people that knew how to talk about games, and they thought
Hmm.
everybody should make deals with them because they were Google and not, you know, they weren't eating their humble pie as the phrase goes, and they were just like walking into all these meetings as Google and being, you know, very cocky, I guess you'll say, and people would like laugh Google out of the room because of these deals, and then they never had a first party. Right? They shut it down after 18 months, which is like
Right.
I don't know, a third of a typical AAA dev cycle these days. Uh, and they just didn't offer anything that was exclusive or exciting, and that's a big recipe for disaster, especially in the streaming space where like you have Xbox Game Pass and Xbox Cloud Gaming, right? Where like,
Right.
oh, it's a very awesome complement to the the experience, right? Where you download your games onto your Xbox or your PC and then you can take them with you through cloud gaming, right? That's the
Yes.
experience you want. Whereas and like you're doing that through a subscription, whereas Google had the Google Pro quote unquote subscription service, plus you had to buy your own games, and it was just like, what are you doing? What are you?
True. Plus, you have to subscribe to someone like EA, Ubisoft in order to buy their games. And I'm just like,
I
that
mean,
that doesn't make sense.
well, Ubisoft Plus was on Stadia. Like if you subscribe to Ubisoft Plus through Ubisoft, you got the Stadia versions. So I mean, Ubisoft had it right, but like Stadia was like, man, I got to tell you that the coolest thing about Stadia was their logo. Okay,
Hmm.
that's about that's about the
Well,
best thing I can say.
and the thing, the controller for the Stadia, that that talk just disappeared and everything. I think it's because of all the when they actually wrote out the Stadia and all the problems that they were having. Um, it just didn't seem viable in a sense. And I think definitely with the popularity of the Switch coming out, more gaming in general, more went to the Switch, went to Nintendo, and all the games and the announcements and everything. Games that were coming out for people that wanted to play it, they wanted to play it on Nintendo Switch. Stadia felt so off that I think probably like 8 months after its release, it wasn't popular to talk about the Stadia unless you were complaining about it or making fun of it. And it didn't get its juice back until Cyberpunk 2077 because Stadia's version was the definitive version at that time of the original release when
Hmm.
it came out for a lot of people. After Cyberpunk,
Well, I would say the PC
Nothing.
version was the definitive release, but
I mean, yes, but I think more people, more reports of the best version of that game running was on Stadia because it was a cloud version. There wasn't like really no hiccups like the PC version and the console versions and everything.
yeah.
Um,
So, I mean,
so
I don't know, man. I just feel kind of bad for everybody who was working on stuff because like there's a game scheduled to come out as of this recording. There's a game scheduled to come out in 2 days, right? Launch on
mhm,
Stadia as an exclusive. There is a game scheduled to come out November 1st, right? There's a couple of exclusives coming to the platform. I mean, not big ones, but like Stadia first. You know, I mean, they still have that deal with what's that RPG that everybody loves? Baldur's Gate 3, right?
yeah.
Stadia exclusive minus the PC release. So like, what are you doing?
What now?
You know? And I just I don't know, man. I just feel bad for everybody working on it, and I hope
Mhm.
that it gets its due. I hope the people that work there get their due because yeah, man, rough.
But I know a lot of people just like every time Google does some stuff like this, it's always going to end up being canceled sometime down the line. How long would the cancellation be? People don't know. Um, but with Stadia, I think it's probably the longest that they had a product out that when it comes to cancellation, um, it was somewhat at least reliable than anything else that they made. I think it was just the Stadia just didn't have the buzz for people to stay interested in,
Hmm.
with it and everything. And I think looking at, you know, when I mentioned, if Nintendo brought the Stadia like technology, this cloud gaming technology, what do people expect to come out of it? Because now Nintendo will have a cloud service to deliver. Then that third party that runs games on the Switch.
Hmm.
I personally think that Nintendo wouldn't do much with it and stuff because I don't think I think they want to make a product that is high quality and that is functional and everything.
Hmm.
And I think they would be like, we don't want to put our stuff on here because if something happens, you guys can't play the game. I feel like Nintendo wouldn't be money hungry in a sense. Uh, but I feel like they wouldn't know what to do with this technology and everything. Like, do you actually put like something like Tetris 99 on the cloud or anything?
Hmm. Yeah, I think I think that I mean, and now I mean, right now it's the chase for that technology now, right? I mean,
Hmm.
that's what we're looking at now is like who's gonna license the technology because like the technology is there, right? Their streaming stuff was like it's definitely better than what's out everything else that's out there right now, right? Like I think
Yes.
Google Stadia's streaming stuff was definitely the best, but again, it's about being a complement and not the primary. And Microsoft's not going to do it because they're building xCloud and Azure is a huge competitor to Google Cloud and AWS and
Yes.
uh you know PlayStation bought Gaikai, but they're also working on their own streaming stuff. So I could actually see PlayStation maybe dipping their toes that way. I could see Nvidia or Steam going that and trying to make a deal with Google for streaming stuff to like something like Stream Deck or GeForce Now, or I know Logitech just came out with that Wi-Fi gaming handheld that's for cloud gaming, which is hilarious that a handheld that's almost $300 is cloud gaming completely.
Yeah.
It just breaks my brain. Uh, um, and then I think that you have the Switch idea, which is like obviously that's kind of what we. I mean, that's really what we focus on here on this show, but like we know Nintendo's dabbled in cloud gaming, right? With third party stuff that's too big to run on the hardware, or,
Yes.
companies looking at Square of, games maybe not taking the time to port them correctly. Kingdom Hearts, looking at you. Um, that's another discussion for another show. But I mean, I don't know how Nintendo feels about working with a Western company in that large of a capacity. And I mean, I just read a story today that Microsoft is going overseas to Japan. They might make an acquisition soon, is the big rumor right now, of a major Japanese company, which is exciting as a fan of Xbox, but but also something that they desperately need. And so I'm looking at Nintendo and saying, like, what if you actually dipped your toes in the Western space more than you thought you needed to, right? Like Google Stadia would be an interesting addition to the Switch, like technologically, especially with a
Yeah.
company like, because we're always saying like Nintendo needs somebody like essentially somebody like Microsoft to come in and rebuild their online infrastructure, right?
Hmm.
Well, what if Google was that? What if they partnered with Google to make an online kind of infrastructure and they had streaming involved and maybe they had more of a presence on YouTube and had Stadia for third parties to kind of utilize if they needed to, right? Like there's all kinds of interesting things they could do with that. I I know Nintendo's not going to do this because they're Nintendo and they don't really
Yeah.
care. And I'm just thinking about it from a hypothetical standpoint of like that would be a really interesting and unique partnership in gaming.
It will. I think it would cause a not concern, but it would cause a lot of discussions and questions for Nintendo to be like, "Are you backstabbing Microsoft? You got you guys are good cahoots. Why would you go with
I
Google
don't Yeah, but
when
I
you
don't think
know
you
all
look
of
at
their
it
problems?"
I don't think you look at it from that standpoint. Like you're going to Microsoft for games, right? You're not going to them for online infrastructure or back end stuff, right? You're
Hmm.
going there for games like you know uh Cuphead and Ori and Minecraft and getting characters for Smash and maybe Mario Kart or Diddy Kong Racing someday, right? Like that's what you're going to Microsoft for. You don't you Nintendo's dealing with Xbox directly. They're not dealing with Microsoft. So uh I mean companies deal with companies like that all the time, I think. And I think if Nintendo does, because I think if you deal with Microsoft, you're going to have to utilize Xbox Live in some way, and I don't think Nintendo
Hmm.
wants to do that. Whereas if they go to Google, they can build their own online infrastructure through Google Cloud or
Yeah.
something to that extent and do it their own separate way and still have the games from Xbox or third parties or whatever, right? So that's my thought.
Because I mean, they could move some of their mobile games on there, uh, on for cloud gaming and stuff like there. Then instead of putting them just like directly on phones and stuff, or going through Apple, uh, iTunes or something like that. Like I think Nintendo probably would have to weigh the options, and see. To them, they're gonna be like, what will work for us and what makes good business, sense. And at this time, going with Google Stadia, like acquiring it or working with Google, that would probably be the best thing because that technology is probably going to be cheaper for Nintendo to get into.
Hmm.
And I think it's going to get more people interested in cloud gaming because it's Nintendo working with Google to acquire or put this streaming service or this cloud service for for
Plus
their
it
games and
plus it
stuff.
would be like I know Nintendo still wants to be in the mobile space without actually being in the mobile space, right? Like
Hmm.
I mean, I know what Dragalia Lost just kind of shut down. But
Yes,
Fire Emblem's still going pretty strong. What other first party Nintendo mobile games are still going? Animal Crossing. Like those
Animal
games
Crossing.
are really interesting and I think like something that I was thinking about when I saw this stuff, and I kind of figured we were going to talk about Stadia at some point, whether it was this show or on the
Pop
main
Lock.
show. What if, like, if you're an expansion pass subscriber, what if you got access to the expansion pass games on an Android phone or like the Google Pixel, which is like their flagship phone? You know, how
Mhm.
cool would that be? And I know, I mean, obviously you have the Switch and whatever, but like, your phone's smaller. Maybe you don't want to take your Switch to like, if you're going somewhere and you don't feel like packing your Switch, but you have maybe a backbone or a Razer controller that you just throw in your bag or whatever. Like, I think that that's something you could talk about, and it's really interesting. I think that would be really interesting to say, hey, I'm an expansion pass subscriber and I have a Google Pixel. Let me whip out my backbone and I can play some links a link to the past while I'm going on this kind of day trip, without having to
Mhm.
pack my Switch.
I I definitely think if because that right there just sounds like an E3 announcement. Like just revealing that if they were going to do that because not only do you now add more subscribers to Expansion Pass, people are going to go out and try it. Like we're going to be like, okay, they're giving me a 7 day trial for Expansion Pass. Let's see how this Google and Nintendo Stadia works when I go out.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, doing stuff on Google products will probably be like, I'm gonna try it out there first before I do anything else.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have literally a big presence, definitely with Android phones. And stuff from Samsung or LG or Panasonic or
Or
whoever.
like, what if the next Google Pixel was Nintendo branded? Like what if they made a
Hmm.
Nintendo phone? I mean, like, say Nintendo wanted to go back into just like a home hardware kind of thing, uh, and like the next Nintendo's console was just a box that you put under your TV. Terrible
Hmm.
idea. Don't think you should do it, Nintendo. Please, if you're listening, do not take that to heart. I'm saying if they did and they wanted to still play in the handheld space, right? That's a way they could do it, right? What if there was a Google Nintendo phone and everybody loved it? I
Yeah.
don't. I mean, I don't think that they're that. I don't think that phone or the Pixel is a great phone. My wife has one, and all she's ever had was issues with it. Um, but she what do you say? She refuses to come over to the blue side, which is the Apple side. Uh,
Well, well, definitely Apple and Microsoft will be paying attention to see why. And the reason I brought Microsoft up is because like their Surface tablets and stuff, to them that would be like Nintendo Stadia being a app or something, for people who can't get the Nintendo Google Pixel or the Nintendo Pixel, um, people who can't get to that but still want to play the expansion pass and everything. I could do it on if I could do it on my Surface tablet or if I could do it on my Apple product, like my MacBook or something like that, and I still pay. Let's just raise the price up to $70. If I pay my $70 per year and it's treated just like everything else, Not only do I now, this is now the only problem that they're going to have is I can't play the expansion pack games for the DLC like Animal Crossing, Mario Kart. I can't do none of that. But I got four systems plus whatever else is coming out
Mm-hmm.
of games to play. Now you could be like, okay, I might not be able to play the DLC and those Nintendo games on my Pixel, but maybe I should also get a Switch so I can play it. Because now, if it's just a one-time payment, it's all under my name or whatever Nintendo ID code that I put in. I could switch back and forth where I could play. Yeah, I could play if I want to play the that free DLC for my games. I have to play it on Switch. But if I just want that old school experience on the go, bam, I could take it there. What is Nintendo losing? Nintendo's
Mm-hmm.
not losing. You're gaining more subscribers than you are losing.
Mm-hmm.
And depending on if they got a Switch or not, you could get just right there. You can be like, oh, so they got games that goes through this DLC for newcomers who don't really know about video games or anything. Okay, let me get the Switch Elite. Let me
Well,
get the Switch
it's the it's
OLED.
the it's the Game Pass situation, right? Where like
Mhm,
you don't have to have an Xbox to have Game Pass, right? You can hook your controller up to your Samsung Smart TV. You can play on PC. You can play on your phone. You can play on your tablet. You can play on an Xbox. You can play, pretty much anywhere that's not branded Nintendo or PlayStation at the moment, right? Like
mhm.
I can play on my iPhone with this Backbone controller. I mean, it's not the best experience, but it's an experience that I actually think a lot of older games may work better not better, but like they might work okay. Maybe you're not going to play precision platforming games, but like I think something like A Link to the Past or uh Final Fantasy 6 or some of these older games like they might feel great and that's awesome. And I'm at the point where I just want more people to play more games and be have access to more games.
Mhm.
It's just nice to think about sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I definitely know Nintendo would gain more profit, definitely with controllers, like with the Pro controller
Oh yeah.
connected to all of that and everything.
I mean, just
Um.
imagine like a Backbone controller, but it looked like an NES or a Super Nintendo controller.
Oh shoot!
Or like a
How quickly
GameCube
would
controller, or
how quickly that would be ordered?
right.
Shoot, if it was a
No, you'll
GameCube,
have to order them through Nintendo's online store, and they'll make like three of them, and you know. By the way, I have a bone to pick with Nintendo's online store, but we can talk about that later.
what's the bone?
I wanted to I wanted to buy more N64 controllers, and I
Mm-hmm.
went to purchase them, and they said I have reached my purchasing limit, and I've only purchased two.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that I just want to give you money so I can have more of these controllers because the Nintendo 64 is a four-player console. So sorry
Yeah.
for wanting to give you more money, Nintendo. Shame on me, I guess.
Well, they probably just like we want to be fair to all our
I don't care. I don't care about everybody
players.
else. I care about me.
Are you sure?
No,
Okay.
I don't know. Somebody help me.
I mean, do you have anyone said they actually got four controllers, N64 controllers for Switch?
No,
I
but
wonder.
I want them.
Plus, are they USB or are they
I mean, they're wireless,
wireless?
but you still charge them through USB C.
Okay.
So, you know.
Plus, that's like a four-player split screen with the N64 controllers on Switch. Like at least if you're gonna do that, you gotta have a big TV.
I do. I
Okay.
have two big TVs.
Well, yes. But I'm talking for people who want that. You know, you can't really have a small TV if you with friends. You gotta have like a big TV so that everybody can see and everything.
Hmm.
And it's only for N64. Like, who's trying to play Genesis or a Super Nintendo game with an N64 controller?
You know what? Somebody is okay. Remember when I tried to play Mario 3 with a Super Nintendo controller? Remember that, Ed? I do.
Hmm.
Guess what?
And
Didn't go well. The end.
I don't know how.
What do you mean don't know how? The buttons are backwards.
How's the button backwards?
You know what? Just try it, okay? You'll see. Move along.
B to jump, A to run.
Yeah, they're backwards. Just
That's
just
interesting.
okay. You're
I
hurting my
remember I
brain.
will try that.
Go away.
What? What?
I don't
What
know.
did I do?
I don't know. It's only been 45 minutes. We got to fill another 15 minutes. Stadia.
Well,
I'm
Corey, I
just
remember
kidding.
you said. I remember you said that you was planning on getting Stadia when it come out, but you was interested
I was
in doing
interested.
it.
I wanted to play Destiny at a higher frame rate on my TV. I thought, well, Destiny would be like the one game where it might make sense. And then I didn't get it. And boy, am I glad. Although, like, I wonder if those controllers are going to go on clearance at all because I'm sure they work on PC still, and those are really
Hmm.
nice controllers, you know.
Yes,
I want that blue and orange one, man.
I'm
I
assuming
really
you
like
can't.
that. I really like the design of their controllers, except that I hate that the sticks are both at the bottom. They look like Xbox controllers with both sticks at the bottom, and I hate it.
I
Um,
still like that orange with the
yeah, I
black one.
yeah,
Like,
I mean,
uh,
like I said, I think the coolest thing to come out of Stadia was their logo and the color palette they chose is awesome. I love it, but that's about it. So,
well, I do wonder how will people be able to buy the controller? With with
well, that
will
you can't
Google
buy it
still
anymore.
sell them?
You can't buy it anymore. Although when I was recording Tower Casuals, Josh and I were like talking about Stadia a little bit and how that affects Destiny because Bungie also just found out today that Stadia was shutting down via the
Hmm.
tweet, and obviously Lightfall's not coming, but all of the purchase and pre-order pages are still up for Lightfall and all the games that are supposedly coming out soon. And it's like, oh my gosh, this is nuts. This
So
is
now they
insane.
gotta take it down, remove it.
They should have taken it down before they had made the announcement. That's my
I
opinion.
wondered, I wondered if any of the publishers knew,
No,
or
they
was this a
didn't. That's
surprise
the
to
problem.
everybody?
That's the problem. Nobody knew. That's like the major problem is that nobody
Wow.
knew.
So it was just here you go.
Yeah.
We're casting Google Stadia. Wait, we're a partner of you guys. You- They're doing what?
Yeah. So yeah. Rip Stadia. Cool idea. Didn't take off. Um
And how much was it when it came out?
I think it was $129 and you got a Chromecast, a controller, and 3 months of Stadia Pro and Destiny. That's still pretty good. That's a pretty decent deal for $130
Mhm.
if you're into the streaming thing.
I wonder about the commercials that they have for Stadia.
Oh man, those
Do they
commercials
stay
were
for?
wild.
Do they stay forever on YouTube?
Oh yeah, you're gonna not take them down. Why would you just take them down for no reason? But
I mean, because it's like you're not advertising the system anymore. So And that's probably was another sign that Stadia was gonna be no more. Like after once again, Cyberpunk came out and it was popular on Stadia. Stadia started running those ads a lot on YouTube and other places, and it's just like disappeared. Like you stopped seeing them for a bit.
Well, I saw some over the summer, actually, some Stadia stuff. I was like, wow, Stadia's still going. Good for you. Uh, but I think, like, I mean, I think a lot of people with any idea about how games work kind of knew that Stadia wasn't going to last, like, when they launched and then you watched that press conference and whatever.
Hmm.
And, like, there's super ambitious ideas. I was like, man, you should probably just put some games out first before you start evolving the system. It's like, I kind of compare it to what Microsoft is doing to Marvel and what Stadia did with what Stadia did with DC, where like Marvel built this universe, but they started small, right? With I mean, obviously they took a crash, right? But like you look at the MCU, right, and you start with Iron Man, and Xbox started with like, okay, here's our idea. Let's start with Xbox Live and games with gold. We have this idea for Game Pass, but we need to make sure like we build the infrastructure first. And
Hmm.
then they build Game Pass, right? Which is, you know, Avengers, I guess. And then they put day one games on Game Pass, right? And then they put the system out and then they add EA Play to Game Pass Ultimate. That's awesome. Okay. New systems come out, cloud gaming exists, and now you're like building on top of like you're building and building and building to where like this service just is building and becoming, you know, all kinds of cool things that like you just point at and be like, oh man, that's a great idea. That's a great idea. Oh man, look how much they offer, and like
Hmm.
Stadia just started out with like Batman v Superman and introduced everything all at once, and it was really overwhelming and nobody cared, right? All the YouTube integration stuff and uh streaming to all these platforms and without even having like a first party title that utilized any of it. And it's like, well, that sucks. A lot of cool ideas, like the controller connecting straight to Wi-Fi to eliminate latency and
Hmm.
being able to stream up to 4K on anything and doing all these things. Cool idea. But if you're showing Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which I think was 2 years old at that point, or a year old at
Yeah.
that point anyway, like, okay, well, you can play this on everything. Where's the exclusives, And then, even if you didn't think it then, you definitely knew the writing was on the wall when they shut down all their first party stuff, and Jade Raymond went to go to form Haven, right? And so
Yes.
that's the thing. I wonder who's going to pick up this tech. I wonder who's going to license this tech. My money would be Sony is going to go license it because they don't really have a lot in in that department. Although they did make that deal with Microsoft to work with Azure, so maybe not. But
Yeah. I say maybe Amazon.
well, Amazon has Luna, Amazon has AWS and Amazon Cloud. They're not going to do. They're not going to Google. They're competition. They're straight up competition.
You may be surprised.
Nope, that tech,
We
dude, that tech literally rivals exactly what Amazon's doing. They're not going to do that.
I there's been weirder stuff like you know Facebook might be the oh goodness a Facebook buy oh goodness.
Actually, that's probably not the worst idea. I mean, Facebook wants to get into gaming, right? And they want the metaverse to be a thing, and they want VR to be a thing.
They would grab that. I
That's
think Facebook would.
actually like you. That's something you could point at because, like, Google kind of failed at all the things that Facebook is successful at, right? Like social media
Mm.
and uh, videos and streaming and stuff. Well, I guess YouTube is whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
But
I don't. That I mean, I could see that too.
and I wonder how much Google would sell it for.
Well, they're not going to sell it. They're going to license it, and they're going to let multiple people use it. But Facebook would be the first one, maybe. especially if they want the metaverse and VR to take off in a more powerful way, in browser-based gaming. So,
I mean, that would be interesting. I just don't know who. Yeah, I just don't know who would be into that though. Facebook gaming
I mean,
or anything.
a lot of people just left Facebook gaming to go back to Twitch or YouTube. So,
Right.
except now the Twitch fiasco stuff is, man, don't even want to go there right now.
Is there a new one after the one from?
They're changing all the
Uh,
ways like sub only chats work and all this stuff, which is like I've been thinking about taking us off of Twitch for a while, but like just the way they are treating their streamers and their creators, it's like, man. I mean, not that YouTube is any better, but they're like not being vocal about how terrible they are to their creators. So I don't know what's worse.
well, it's so weird from what Twitch was when it first started to what it is now. Um,
Yeah.
I think it's gotten to a point where it's so pop. I know, understand it's so popular, and I know it's a business and everything, but I really felt like it lost, in a sense, it lost its luster and it lost its goal of what it wanted to be. You would think that if you get to the core basic of it, Twitch was a place that you would watch people play games and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that was the entertainment to to see if how good this person was at this game, or to see this game running. If you was curious about it, it was something that was just like the whole community could watch and just enjoy and feel entertained. Um, and that kind of was it. Now it just feels like, of course, there's personalities, there's podcasts, there's a lot to it. I kind of feel like people don't go to Twitch for the simple entertainment. I think they go there to see um their probably their favorites or that personality um play the same game over and over and over, in a
Mm-hmm.
sense. And I know interaction is part of it, which is important, but I with the way that I look at it, I feel like Twitch was the arcade gaming scene, in a sense, where you will watch people play that arcade game. And you may gain some tips, or you may just like, ooh, this looks fun. I'm like, I just want to see the whole game. Um, and that's kind of how Twitch was for me personally in the beginning. Like, if I ever caught Twitch, like watching it and stuff, I was entertained just watching people play games and
Mm-hmm.
having fun.
Yeah.
You know,
No, I mean that's fair. I feel like Twitch now is more obviously more about the personalities and stuff than it is about the games themselves. Like
hmm
it's just I don't even know people. I mean, they have like literally just a just chatting thing now where like people just go to talk and it's just like, well, I don't know. I don't know, man.
it's a
This whole
big,
world is just confusing. It's so
it's a
just
it's a big production.
it is.
Then
I mean, to be fair,
and I
if I had time, I would make our production. I would make our production like the biggest production too. But like, I don't have the time, and I wish we did. Like, I I wish we had the time to do a lot of things. And maybe we will someday. I'm not sure. I don't know. We'll see. But I just man, that just takes a lot of work and content creation and production is no joke. And the fact that these streamers are just getting treated like this is just it sucks. It sucks.
I mean,
I mean, when you have your top tier streamers like Ninja and Pokimane and Gathalion and Broman and a lot of like Destiny people that I follow, like all complaining. It's like, man, come on. Like, And now they're saying like Twitch Prime won't even be there in a year. Like that's insane. That's crazy. I just
I
don't
mean, but
understand.
I feel like this is the stuff that they signed up for. I mean, y'all help.
But it's not. They're changing it. Like they're changing this stuff without consulting their biggest 1%, like the people that make them the most money.
And I wonder what they're supposed to do, like send out a letter or
A letter. No, they should just send out surveys.
to get a better understanding of where they should go,
Yeah.
what they should do.
Send out surveys to like your top streamers, to like maybe like a couple, maybe like a couple hundred of your mid-tier streamers, and let anybody kind of participate in like a general streamer thing and be like, what do you want to see out of Twitch? And it's like, it can't be that hard. They're owned by Amazon. They have the money to do that. Just do it.
Hmm.
you know
But I wonder, does Amazon have any influence? Are they
no,
saying
Amazon doesn't
anything?
care. It's like, again, it goes back to like the Google Stadia stuff we were talking about. Like Google overall, like I just feel like these companies, like, they have an interest in this stuff, but not enough interest to go in and actually do the work that's required to do the things.
Hmm.
And I think that's the problem. I think somebody needs, like, a gaming company needs to like, I don't know if you get somebody like, if you form like a council of like, people from EA, Activision, Microsoft, PlayStation, Nintendo, Ubisoft, like the biggest places, and say, look, let's all kind of come together and make like a streaming platform for creators, and
Mm.
let's work together to make this the best streaming platform possible. And Microsoft did that for a long time, right? With Mixer. And
Yeah,
I would say they're the ones that put the most effort into making it work. And
I feel like Mixer was so easy to use. I
dude,
feel like
Mixer
they were
was
kind of like,
so good at everything: the co-streaming stuff, the chat,
hmm,
the uh, the ease of use, the way you set everything up. Like, just the user experience is so great, and Twitch's user
yeah.
experience has not changed since like 2013, really, and it sucks. I hate Twitch. Like, if there was another option besides YouTube to use, like a real platform that was focused on that,
Hmm.
I would be there in a heartbeat. Like, I would love to go find a place to be like, let's set up shop here and be here. But Twitch is the only option besides YouTube. And granted, I'm not opposed to using YouTube, but like, YouTube is for our nicely edited final products. It's not for our live stuff. And
Yes.
maybe it should be. I don't know. Maybe I'm just an old fart who just doesn't know anything. And I know
I mean,
Laurent's having a lot of success on YouTube, right? Like, that's not a secret. I'm just concerned about a lot of things, I guess. I don't know.
uh, all I can say is we'll see if the future of Stadia, if someone gets the technology, like someone buys it, then access out. We'll see if Nintendo, wants to get into that kind of game. They probably will talk to Google for it. Facebook might buy it, which would
Well, they
be
already bought the
interesting.
Mixer assets and it didn't do anything with them. So,
That was so.
oh my
That was
gosh. Remember
so
when that was
weird.
announced? And like, we met so many people through Mixer, and I've
Hmm.
met a lot of people through Mixer in general too. Like, like, we still have like, I wouldn't say lifelong friends, but I mean, like, we still have like a lot of friends from Mixer that we still talk to and have on shows this day. Like, BU was one. Uh,
Yeah.
you know, uh, my friend that I play Destiny with, Nerd Generalist, is one. Uh, I mean, there's I can't think of a ton of people right now, but you know, like I probably have like 10 people from Mixer that I still talk to and interact with, you know. Um, so it's crazy, man. It's just this whole thing. It's hard. It's hard work, and I think we all just need to take a step back and chill for a second. And I feel I actually just right now I feel like that person that's like everybody's calm and I'm the one person that's like screaming, stay calm, everybody stay calm, and everybody is calm except for me. But that's because all I do is just think about how to improve and how to do things all the time, that it's just like exhausting. So
Yeah. Well, everybody, that's going to be it for Nintendo Expansion Pass. I have been your host, Eddie V. Of course, Corey, as the boss man. Where can we find you, Corey?
you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at I am Corey in HD, and on Nintendo Power Block, and on Boss Rush Podcast, and on Standard Definition, and all the things here.
Yes, you can find me on Twitter at that retro code and on Instagram at that retro code. You can find me hosting it to the Pod Block, Expansion Pass, the video game parts of Standard Definition, Talk the Walk, and more content here at Boss Rush Network. You can check our shows on YouTube at Boss Rush, our Boss Rush Network YouTube page, or you can go to bossrush.net to check out more of our content, our written reviews, news stories, podcasts, even some clips from the past. I was actually just going through some of my writing stuff that I had on it. Looking at the Yoshi review, looking at my Ghost of Tsushima review, and things like that. So you guys can check that out. And if you visit our page, also visit our store and our Patreon. Come support Boss Rush. $1 will give you some early access for some of the shows, but you can also become a producer by hitting the $5 tier. Correctly?
Mm-hmm.
So, and get your name shouted out on the show. So, with that, everybody, have a great week, have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time on Nintendo Expansion Pass. Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.